Hi, I'm John Forsee here for Wildcat Watch, your weekly sports interview. I'm here with undefeated VCF lightweight champion Jake Lindsey. How you doing today, Jake?
I'm doing good. How you doing, John?
Oh, not too shabby. Let's talk about this now. 9-0 undefeated, kind of came out of nowhere. What kind of got you into MMA fighting?
I've always been kind of, I don't start fights, but I've always been kind of like I go out, I have a good time, and I was always pretty good at fighting. My friends were idiots when I was younger, so I always would get into fights with them. And, I was a big fan of, I watched the sport. I'd watch Pride Fighting Championships in Japan. This is 10 years ago. Watched the UFC, and I just thought, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try it one day. And I used to, I started out, I didn't have a punching bag, so I'd go to the high school, Manhattan High School, and I'd hit the tackle dummies. I did that for a couple months, and then I found a gym, and then I just joined, and that was that.
Yeah, you're kind of a local hero here, kind of almost a myth-like creature here, because you're 9-0 out of Manhattan, Kansas, and kind of the Midwest champion of VCF event, which is basically Midwest-based in the United States. But obviously now that you're undefeated and getting more of that, you're getting some higher professional calls here.
Yeah, and the Victory Fighting Championship, it's a Midwest-based show, but they bring in, they have a lot of UFC veterans. It's kind of like a feeder organization, so a lot of they're like the highest you can get before you get to the UFC. So if you get the belt, like I have, the only place to go from there is up. And like you said, I've lived here my whole life. I love Manhattan. I tell people what I do. A lot of people don't really know that there's a really big MMA scene in Manhattan. There's a lot of talented fighters here, a lot of big things happening in the MMA circuit in this tiny little town. It's kind of hidden away, and I tell people I go train other places. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Kansas, and like, Kansas, you guys have tornadoes? That's about it. I thought you guys have MMA there, and I'm like, yeah. So,
yep. So now that you're the VFC lightweight champion, defending your title, what's the next step for you here?
Hopefully, some money. You know what I mean?
Some more money.
To get paid. No, I'm hoping. Obviously, everyone in MMA, everybody has the same goal to get to the UFC. It's like the NFL of MMA. And then that's where the big boys are. That's where the big money's at. And everyone fights for different reasons. Everyone has a different career. Everyone does sports for different reasons. I love MMA. I love the sport. I love it just for the art itself. But I also like to make money. So that's the next step for me is hopefully get to the UFC. And I really want to represent Kansas and the Midwest and show. If you heard my post-fight speech, a lot of guys from like the West Coast, East Coast don't give us Midwest guys a lot of credit. You don't think we're as good as they are, but I want to get up there and show them.
Yeah, and obviously you've gotten quite a few sponsors. Briggs Auto has given you a car.
Yeah.
Any other good perks that you've gotten from this MMA gig?
There's some positive and negatives. Sometimes I'll go to like random restaurants. When like any place I see my face on a poster, I'll go in there and be like, hey, that's my face right there. Maybe give me like a free burger,
okay.
A milkshake or something like that. But the best thing for me is honestly is like when someone comes up to me, I have no clue who they are, and they're like, oh, I've been watching you fight, and I really love watching, and I see the excitement and how happy they are, that's probably the best perk for me.
Now, your nickname is the Librarian, and you talked about this perhaps during your fight. Why are you named the Librarian?
It's pretty simple. Like, I wish there was more of a story behind it, but I used to be a librarian at the public library. I worked there for about 9 years, so that's the story in itself. I wish there was a more complex story, but I used to be a librarian.